good. It smells good. Yeah, you already have eaten the rest. Yeah, it's already finished.
Hey, stick. Stick.
No, Mom.
Is here?
Yeah, good.
Oh, those sounds. Don't eat it right.
Good. Oh, wow.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Decoding Dog Food with Ingrid and Harley's Corner here at the Taj Connaught in Delhi. My name is Ishmeet Singh Chandiok. I am the founder of Harley's Corner, and we are India's first ready-to-eat wet dog food brand. The brand started with me cooking for my dog Harley. He was a rescue indie, and I adopted him from a construction site, and he was just 2 months old when I brought him home. And as a first-time pet parent, I did what everybody would do. I went to the veterinarian, I went to the pet shop, and what they recommended that I buy X brand, Y brand is what I did. I went and I picked it up. Having studied hotel management, having worked with hotels, having been surrounded by food all my life, I felt that, we eat such good food with different ingredients, different textures, different flavors. Why is it that Harley should be getting just this one dry kibble every day? Twice a day. So I started doing research on what is good for dogs and what I could feed my dog from cooking at home. And slowly I started preparing food for him. The moment I started that, he stopped eating the kibble and only wanted to eat what I was making. And this was a real, eye-opener for me. I took him to the vets, and the vet said, listen, that's the best gift you can give Harley, because if you keep your dog on a home-style diet, on an average they live to be longer by about 2 to 2.5 years than a dog who's on a commercial dry food diet. And that got me thinking that, if I could give this kind of food to Harley, why couldn't I give it to other pet parents? And that's where Harley's Corner was born. And that's how I started off. I started off by doing fresh meals every day, and then eventually moved into understanding how I could package the food to give it a shelf life without using any preservatives or additives. Well, the last 10 years has been a journey. We've gone through ups and downs, and Harley's Corner has really, the one thing we focused on is that we always remain 100% human grade. We are a no preservative brand, and the business principle was simple. If I wouldn't feed Harley something, I wouldn't want to sell it. And that's how the brand kind of, slowly gained traction. And, when they say the universe has a way of making things come together, that's where I met Ingrid. And Ingrid was in Netherlands. She was teaching her students about canine nutrition. And she just, Googled, so she'll tell you the story. She Googled one day about learning about, people who are making home-style food for dogs. And suddenly up popped Harley's Corner. And that's where we connected, and we just kind of, got off right. We just got along right from the beginning. And both our journeys, our missions are basically to make sure that dogs get healthier food. Hence, they live a happier life and they live a longer life. So with that, I'm going to call Ingrid up to speak with you about and give you some basic briefs about how nutrition for dogs has changed over the years, over the centuries and the decades, and then also talk about how our food is different from the other wet food brands in the country, and why is it beneficial for your dog. Ingrid.
Hi, welcome everybody. As Ishmeet already told, I'm Ingrid Smolders. I'm a canine nutritionist from the Netherlands. So I've been formulating dog food for, I think, a few decades right now. I had my own brands and sold them again because I wanted to develop more and wanted to have new challenges in the dog food world. And there has been some changes over the past decades. So what we've seen and what we usually think is that dog food is an old science, which is not true. We only began to learn more about dog food like in the late 1940s in the last century. So after World War I, which we had also in Europe, we had some animals left over from the war, and we started to use them actually as dog food. So that's how the dog food industry actually started. So afterwards, that was a little bit inconvenient because it was canned food. So then the kibble industry started. They did a wonderful job because in the beginning we had many dogs with deficiencies, with joint issues, etc., etc. So when the kibble industry started, they did the first research about dog food. So we learned about vitamins, we learned about minerals, we learned about proteins, fatty acids, etc. And actually that was completely new because we didn't know that before. With all the centuries that we had dogs for thousands of years, we never did research about what to feed them. They just joined us. Well, some people say they were descended from wolves. Other people have other theories about it. That doesn't matter. The thing is that in some point of time, dogs came to join us. They became our companions. So they were fed what we were eating. So the pet industry evaluated, they made new things, they did more research, and then we had a new thing coming up after several decades that people started thinking, well, but if my dog is descended from a wolf, it should eat meat. Because wolves do eat meat, they do eat their prey, they eat it raw, so we don't have to feed them kibble because that's bad, it's highly processed food, so we need to go and start feed them raw, not processed food. So then we had in the canine nutrition industry a new flow going on that we have to feed our dogs raw food. And we did, and that went well for several years. I saw that coming. I did some formulating about that, but then we didn't have all the knowledge we have nowadays about the vitamins, about the minerals, etc., etc. We just thought and we just assumed that if we would feed the dogs just like a prey animal, that it would be sufficient. It turned out to be otherwise. So we only found out recently, a few decades ago, that those meals are very deficient in many minerals, vitamins, fatty acids, antioxidants, and so many more things. Nutrition is more about just numbers, percentages, and fats, carbs, and proteins. There's so much more to it. So then we started to do more research, and also our dogs, of course, lived with us for many decades, and they started to evolve too. So before they were strictly carnivores, but then they evolved. Hi, Poppins. Yeah, good. Then they started to evolve and started to learn how to digest, for instance, starch. So wolves can't do that, but our pet dogs can do that definitely, and they do it well. So then we found out later, it was about, I think, 15 years ago, that we found out that many pet dogs couldn't digest the raw food so good anymore. So we became to find out that there were becoming more diseases, joint issues, gastrointestinal problems, many allergies. So we were facing many problems with our dogs. And then, as I was doing my research, I thought we need to do it differently. We also evolved as human beings when we started to cook our food because we could digest it even better, and also, what is very important, that it made our food so much more safe because it was boiled, it was cooked, it was preserved. So I learned to do that for dogs as well. And what I found out after we did a lot of research and we had more access to online programs so that we could really find out what is in the food, we found out that there were many deficiencies in the dog food. So what we found out is when we have a home style diet, it is very deficient in many nutrients that a dog needs. You won't see it the first day, and you won't even see it after 3 months. You won't see it even after a year, but you will find out after several years. So your dog will develop some issues, for instance, joint issues, gastrointestinal issues, allergies, and even cancer. nowadays even 60% of our pet dogs will develop in some stage of their life cancer. So that's very disturbing, so we need to do something about that. So that's one of the reasons why I started my Academy for Ortho-Molecular Canine Nutrition several years ago, and we're still developing it because nutrition is science, and actually it's a quite new branch in science. So what we do nowadays, we make home-style dog food, but we make sure that it's completely balanced according to international standards. So we really analyze the food. We know exactly the amount of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids that is going in the food. So we also know where it is deficient. So in that way, we can make a premix, or a mix of vitamins, minerals, etc. And then we will add it to the home-style diet to make sure that it's completely balanced. In that way, we have so much more power in the nutrition. So when I met Ishmeet, and that was the universe calling out to us that we needed to join hands. So when I met Ishmeet with all his knowledge about food and how to make sure that it's safe, etc., with my knowledge from the Ortho-Molecular Canine Nutrition experience, we joined hands and we made sure that it was not only tasty and safe, but it also completely balanced. So we started to work together, and we came up with a lot of maintenance diets for dogs with all the different proteins in it, and we made sure that it's the first wet food here in India that is completely balanced and safe according to the international standards, because, well, there are many standards, but the international standards are very strict. So that's when we started working together, and now we even have formulated therapeutic meals, so we can also make sure that dogs with special needs, for instance with kidney failure, with mobility issues, so joint issues, gastrointestinal problems, allergies, weight issues, which we see a lot here in India, that we can help them, that we can make customized food according to their special needs. So I'm very happy that we can join together and move on this journey, and we will make great things happen here. Yes, so thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to check on something. You say these are home-style meals, right? We also feed home food to Poppins. I just wanted to know, what is the difference between what I am feeding and what you have in these packets?
Yes.
How is it different?
That's a good question. Poppins, do you know the answer? No, I will answer it for you. Yeah, that's a good question, actually, because we heard that a lot. The difference between a home-style food and our food is that our food is completely balanced. And why is that? When I make analysis of the home-style food that you give or what I should give to my dog, when I analyze it, you see that there will be a lot of deficiencies in the food. So, for instance, vitamin D, iodine, manganese, magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin E, etc., etc. So many deficiencies. So what we do is we add this deficiency. So we add, for instance, seaweed powder, which contains a lot of iodine, zinc especially. There are many zinc deficiencies, not only amongst dogs, by the way, also for humans. So, for instance, we add seaweed powder, which we don't use that in our kitchen. So you will never get it as balanced, as complete as the way we do it. So other than that, we use algae calcium, for instance. So we don't use that in our kitchen. And other than that, we also add a supplement. So it's a multivitamin mix, especially for dogs, but customized to the home-style food. So that will make it complete and balanced. So it will make sure that, for instance, if I analyze the ingredients of the home-style food, I will find out, for instance, that it's missing 20 milligrams of vitamin B12. So I will make sure that in the vitamin mix is 80% extra vitamin B12 so that it will make 100% in total. That everything is correct and everything is complete, and also in the correct ratio. Because that's also important. If you add one mineral or one vitamin, then the uptake of another vitamin or mineral will be less. So it needs to be balanced and it needs to be complete. So that's a huge difference with your home style food. Yes.
Okay, I wanted to ask you another question. In India, a lot of households, a lot of people feed their dogs kibble as their main meals. That's all they eat, like even for treats and for main meals, of course. Yes. So I'm sure they'd like to know how fresh meals or how Harley's food is much better than the kibble that they are feeding. What is the primary difference between the two?
Yes. Well, thank you. That's a good question also. Yes, what's the big difference? Kibble. It's like a biscuit, right? It's like... So what's the difference between fresh food and junk food, biscuits, kibble? Well, the big difference is, of course, that it's fresh. And fresh is always better. It's not highly processed food. It's fresh. It contains all the vitamins, minerals, and also what is a big difference in dog food, that usually if you want to make kibble, you need a certain amount, usually about 50% of starch, because you want to make a dough, like a biscuit. Dogs have evolved, so they can digest starch, but not in these amounts. So they need more protein, animal-based protein, so not plant-based. And they also need the animal fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. So the kibble is, well, it's highly processed, it's not fresh, and it contains so much carbs. So we see many obese dogs here in India as well, and we all know from our nutrition, from the human nutrition, that eating many carbs, that it's really turned into fat in the body. So the other thing is that in our fresh meals, in our Harley Corner meals, that we only use human-grade ingredients. So that's a huge difference with kibble, because they don't have to use the human-grade ingredients. So yes, that's less, of course, less healthy for the dogs than fresh meals or with human-grade ingredients. Yes. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.